in the middle of difficulties lies opportunity. Good morning to our respected guests and the students of IIEBM batch 2022. I am Mimansa Vyas, moderator for today's session, and it's a great pleasure for me to be a part of it. I hereby welcome you all to the first session of this lovely day. This session is going to be for an hour, followed by questionnaires at the end. The topic for today's session is career opportunities and growth prospects in information and technology post-COVID pandemic. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all with our guest of this session, Mr. Naren, HR leader for more than 15 years of experience, including 4 years in talent planning and management as HR journalist and business partner with over 10 years in talent acquisition. He has done master program in business administration in human resource from Kasian Global School of Business Management. He also holds master's degree postgraduate certificate in human resource management from XLRI Jamshedpur. His area of expertise is talent acquisition, talent planning, talent management, payroll, core HR activities, strategic business partner, personal administration, accounting and finance, budgeting and forecasting. He has worked with Eli Lilly and Company as depot in charge for more than 4 years. He worked as technology recruiter for Macro Technologies Inc. for 1 year. He also has more than 3 years of experience as senior executive HR at Thomson Reuters. He also he was also the assistant manager HR at Butler Aerospace and Defense for 2 years. Then he worked for Inroad for 1 year as HR and finance manager. He is currently heading talent acquisition for CDK Global India. So now I would request our guest Mr. Naren sir to take this session further. Sir, you may please continue now.
Okay, so I would probably start with kind of like couple of quotes. Yeah, just for you to kind of have a kind of kickstart. So uh, just to kind of ensure, I don't know if how many of you are aware of a famous philosopher. His name is Confucius, right? I mean, his name itself is kind of like a bit confusing one. Um, my whole objective is not to kind of confuse you here, but to kind of help you come out of confusion to some extent and practically kind of yeah uh, uh, kind of be present in the current situation, and then embrace opportunities whatever it comes our way. First of all, I would like to thank Mayuresh, Professor Mayuresh, and then Mimansa for that wonderful introduction. Of course, yeah, to start with, I mean, I'm currently heading talent acquisition for CDK India. My role is not just confined to talent acquisition. I also kind of participate in other HR activities, wherein I take care of analytics as well as building software for our HR function itself, using SuccessFactors and Workday as a platform. So with that background, yeah, I just wanted to kind of have you kind of read these three quotes, right? I mean, three quotes to start with our conversation, and I'll also kind of move into our other presentations as well during the session. You can actually, by now, I think you would have probably read these quotes, right? I mean, I'm sure I think you guys are able to see my screen, right? Complete screen. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So to start with, like everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it, right? I mean, I will come back to these quotes during my conversation. Try to give you some career guidance on these quotes, because though these were written long ago by our famous philosopher Confucius, these statements or probably quotes stand very true in the current days as well. In the midst of pandemic, in the midst of unprecedented times, we need to understand is basically there is a lot which we have gone through. um, think through that and then relate to this quote, right? I mean, even in this pandemic situation, even in this unprecedented times where everyone is locked up in our homes, there's something everyone has realized, right? We have been missing over a period of time. um, it's almost like a sudden break or a bump on a freeway, right? I mean, freeway is basically a express highway. For example, if we have to kind of drive down to any location from Delhi, I understand there are so many expressways we have, right? And imagine that suddenly you have a big bump on the expressway and you have to put a stop, right? Sudden stop or a break um, while you are driving at a 120, 130 speed. Imagine how horrible that situation be, and how uncontrollable that situation be, right? So the pandemic or probably COVID has actually put a big stop to so many things in our lives, right? Yeah. So that's like a sudden break in many ways to many people, not to one individual. Maybe for every segment, every class of people, um, including a kid to a student to a middle-aged person and a old citizen, right? So everyone, it's a fairly new thing. Just give me 1 second. కొంచెం sound ని see. Just yeah. So with that, what we have learned is, I mean, whatever we see, right? I mean, certainly uh, it has some beauty. Just that we have been ignoring it over a period of time, right? We have never been able to see it. I'll relate to some more topics and then try to kind of relate to these quotes again. Second is, silence is a true friend, right? I mean, who never betrays. I think more than anything, this pandemic has taught us how to be silent in situations like this, how to be ourselves, and then how to kind of control our emotions, control everything possible during this situation, during this period, uh, and then enjoy the fellowship of silence, or maybe the friendship of silence in this pandemic, right? I mean, I think everything has suddenly become silent in the last few months. Of course, post lockdown, post lockdown, yeah, we have seen things are coming back to normal. But during lockdown, I'm sure everyone would have experienced this utmost silence being our best friend or true friend. Yeah, who have never betrayed us in our crisis situation. Last but not least, I think, yeah, wheresoever you go, go with your all, go with all your heart. Is one more statement I really liked from this famous philosopher. So just to kind of reiterate again, I will relate to some of my topics when we get to that situation there, right? Um, I'll probably present two more quotes. Yeah, because Confucius, I don't know how many of you know about him, but certainly I thought there are two gentlemen. I mean, other than Confucius, um, ha, whom we certainly know. I mean, certainly the right hand side is our father of India as a nation, considered to be, as we all know, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi is also known as Mahatma Gandhi. There's one beautiful statement he has also given us, which is, live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. I think I've thought, like, I mean, this session is a way of learning something new for all of us. I mean, including me. Though I'm presenting something to you, but I still strongly feel that I'm also learning while I present something to you, right? I mean, as a topic or a subject, I mean, just we're all learning together. As I said, like, we need to ensure life is too short, and then yeah, so live as if today and tomorrow we might die, but yeah, learn as if we were to kind of live forever, right? I mean, that's one reason I just put it up here, which is kind of very related to our learning um, platform at this point of time, because we are all students. Important for you to know, even though you graduate out of this college today, or maybe this year, um, learning never stops. I mean, learning is an ongoing thing, and it is going to be forever, right? I mean, it's going to be forever. You're going to continue to learn throughout your life, and learning never ends. There's no stop to learning. Then who have to? I mean, you have to go wholeheartedly into anything, right? I mean, it could be anything. Like I left with a last statement of Confucius, right? Wheresoever you go with all your heart. In continuation, just trying to kind of take one more statement from Frank Lloyd Wright, who said, I mean, you have to go wholeheartedly into anything in order to achieve anything worth having, right? I mean, basically, this statement talks about how committed you are in whatever you are doing as of today. So everyone has a responsibility, right? I mean, childhood and youth, or maybe young days, are meant to learning, and whatever you do, you should do it wholeheartedly to achieve anything like in life, yeah, which is worth having. So in order to kind of see yourselves in a very strong solid position coming days, I think whatever you're currently doing, you do it with whole heart, so that you can achieve anything in life which is worth having, right, in your life forever, right? These are the few things which I wanted to kind of start this session with. um, just quickly probably come back to my other main deck. Okay, so I'll keep fiddling between my decks. You have to bear with me because there are a lot of things which I thought I will present, and then I picked up a couple of decks from different sections. I'm just trying to present them uh, basically to help you follow through the session today. Okay. Hmm. So I'm kind of presenting something which we kind of used it sometime in and around the same time last year. This was a kind of like an outcome of a session which has happened in IT, in an IT symposium, which was organized by Gartner. I don't know how many of you are aware of Gartner. Being management students, I would strongly suggest you follow a company called Gartner. Gartner is a global organization which provides yeah, analytics, which provides a lot of insights into uh, especially business. It could be any business. Again, when I talk about business, it could be any business, not necessarily IT, not necessarily manufacturing. Could be healthcare, IT, manufacturing, or any business, right? I mean, if you really want to know what is happening today, and then how are we kind of heading in any business, right? I mean, from a business point of view, Gartner is a go-to place for you to kind of pull out some references, pull out some latest news, latest reports, latest analytics related to various aspects, right? So these slides were prepared as an outcome of that IT symposium, which has happened in October 2019. I'm using the same slides because this was more of a futuristic session which was held by Gartner. Uh, it's a kind of two day long kind of workshop where I could probably learn a lot of things from this session, and then thought this is more futuristic. And I thought for B school students or maybe management students like you, it will really help you understand what is in plate for us in the coming years, right? So to start with, I think, I mean, now the companies are looking at three major areas. If I have to say companies, it is pertaining to business. So please bear with me. I might use terms like business and companies sometimes. So imagine as an organization or a company or a business, today's world, every business is now looking at three major objectives, right? Three major objectives are to ensure they sustain in a long run, right? I mean, I don't know if you understand sustainability. So every business certainly tends to kind of have sustainability as their key driving factor, right? Um, I'm sure I think you might have heard about companies like Nokia. Um, Nokia during your childhood, or probably until last 6 7 years ago, was the only premier mobile manufacturing company, and in India, Nokia is the only known brand from a mobile handset, right? Today we don't talk about Nokia of the world, right? I mean, the reason is only purely because they could not sustain the business, or they could not invest in innovation at the right time. So they had to kind of um, bear a very uh, bigger consequence in terms of losing business. So in order to ensure business or an organization or a company in general terms, for their sustainability in the industry, they are looking at three key areas, right? I mean, key areas are listed here. I can just read it for you. It is basically, one is operational excellence. Okay. In our next slides, probably we'll try to understand a bit more. So I've just put some highlights about what is operational excellence, right? I mean, you can see most of the companies are now looking at yeah, shifting in terms of mindset. I mean, shift your brand, which is like mindset, or maybe understanding from low cost to business value, right? Earlier the more major, I would say, idea or maybe philosophy of the company is to kind of ensure they produce a particular product for a low value, right? I mean, how do we kind of make business by ensuring our product is of low cost, or maybe for a business to continue to run and sustain in the market, how do I ensure I keep my cost in control, right? That was their major focus at that point of time. But now companies have shifted their mindset from low cost to business value, right? Business value is basically, how am I going to help people to use my product? Maybe product could be a physical product or an app, or maybe a kind of like soft product, which is kind of an app on your phone, right? So business value, right? What kind of business value am I providing to people to run their business? I mean, sustain in the market. Second is basically automating workflows. I mean, if you see basically, how are we going to automate workflows within the organization? Workflows are nothing but, say, for example, I can relate to your college, right? I mean, I'm sure your college admission process, if you look at several years ago, maybe a couple of years ago, was very tedious in terms of like sending out application form, which is a physical document for you to fill. Maybe stick a photograph, get a photo clicked in a shop, get the photo printed, bring that small, I would say, ID sized photograph, paste it on the application, fill everything manually, sign everywhere possible. Lot of tedious work we used to kind of follow in the olden days, right, from an admission process. But today, if you really ask me, I think technology has advanced in such a way. Um, even I'm giving you one example of your institution or college itself. They have kind of automated this whole process. Now you can fill the same application on a computer, on an iPad, or even a mobile phone, right? You have the flexibility and opportunity to kind of fill everything online, including a photograph. You can take a selfie then and there, and then probably upload that selfie into that application form, make some adjustments, and then click submit, and then your entire admission process is done online. So that's what we mean to say automating workflows, right? I mean, wherever there was a manual intervention is now seamlessly automated, and then companies are looking at automating workflows wherever possible to minimize two things. One, yeah, manual effort. Second is error free. Basically, you then know, I mean, you're not making any errors, right? Manual errors. Then ensure, right? I mean, your data is seamlessly kind of captured into various systems. So that's what we mean to say automating workflows are actually helping create operational excellence in organizations, right? And then third is drive the metrics. Metrics are basically again KPIs, KRAs. KPIs are key performance indicators. Yeah, KRAs are nothing but key result areas. So these are the two things which every company would look at improving their operational excellence, without which no company will sustain in the market. I mean, again, I'm relating back to sustainability, right? I mean, how are we going to ensure we as a business continue performing in the industry meaning in our real-time scenario, right? So second is moving on to digital business transformation, relating to my same example of making sure your admission process is completely kind of like transformed into a digital environment, right? So you can see yeah, the core area of focus is how am I going to kind of use IT or maybe technology as a business problem solver, right? To a business innovator. So, uh, I mean, currently, I don't know, some of you would have heard about Smart India Hackathon. Hackathon is predominantly um, done uh, across the country, picking up some problems, right? I mean, day-to-day problems, and trying to solve them by creating some applications or maybe products, right? I mean, that is predominantly to solve a problem, a business problem, or environment problem, or an industry problem, or a regular day-to-day problem of an individual. Now we have to kind of shift from yeah, problem solving to innovation. I think um, basically we need to kind of shift our mindset from problem solving to innovation. So today we are actually looking at solving some real-time problems in the market, right? That is not really called as innovation. Innovation meaning, yeah, innovate something new, and then yeah, probably create something new which never existed, right? There's a difference between invention and discovery, right? Discovery is basically things which are already existing, which you never knew that they are existing, and you came to know for the first time that they are existing, right? That is discovery. We all know Discovery Channel. We continue to kind of follow Discovery Channel. The whole idea of naming the channel after that name is basically that channel actually brings could be animals, could be living beings, could be anything, right? Which is into your knowledge, brings them into light in a way which is already existing somewhere, right? But innovation is little different. I mean, we need to kind of understand, um, relating to my second point here, drive technology led business innovation, right? So innovation is basically nothing but create something new which never existed before, right? That is called innovation. I think a lot of people get confused. They think that they have innovative ideas. They come up with innovative ideas, but the innovative ideas are nothing but you're trying to solve your existing problems. Things which are existing already, you're trying to create another app or a solution for existing things rather than creating something new which never existed before. So there's a slight difference in our understanding, which we need to kind of change from what we call as I mean problem solving to innovation. So final, last but not least, after this, I'll just give you a pause and ask for questions if you have any. But just to kind of help you understand, every business, for every business, in order to run every business, we need customers, right? I mean, customers are the key for every business, right? I mean, customer is the heart of everything. Customer is the heart of every business. Like we all know, yeah. If our heart stops functioning, uh, we are we are kind of like declared dead, right? I mean, same way, any business, yeah, without a customer is not a business, right? So customer is the heart of business, and until unless the customers continue to exist in a business, the business is kind of like evolving. Business is evolving or growing, right? So you need to know again, in a customer intimacy, you need to kind of partner with customer, understand what they want, and build your technology to kind of relate to or solve their problems. Then second is basically you need to create effectiveness in their in in your workforce. uh, in your workforce, create that mindset of customer intimacy, because anyone in the company, uh, I mean basically together, if they work right towards the improvement of a particular product or maybe a particular function in a business, that is inevitably impacting your customers. Yeah. So any company or business will have happy customers only if they have happy employees, right? I mean employees or maybe happy resources, if I have to say. So that's basically a bit of customer intimacy. I'll pause a bit and see if you have any questions. I don't want to kind of uh, maybe load a lot of information into you before we could actually move on to the next slides. Any questions you have, folks?
Sir,
Yep.
so we have a question from the students. They are asking about how do you think that how companies are helping employees to grow their IT knowledge today?
Mhm. Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I will get there. So
Okay.
once we kind of complete our yeah uh, presentation on how IT or technology is evolving today.
Yes, sir.
How are we embracing IT or technology today? I have few let's say market insights about how is the future going to be, right? And then I will probably help you understand uh, what we are doing at CDK. How are we kind of ensuring people grow their IT acquaintance or knowledge? Yep.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I'll just probably kind of go back to some beautiful insights from the industry. Let's get there. I think these are some interesting slides. Only if you really pay some good attention, you will be able to understand these slides. Okay, so there are some strategic predictions done by Gartner in their summit, right? I've taken few key highlights. You can see these highlights pertaining to 2023 and beyond, right? Um, Gone are those days. People used to talk about Vision 2020, right? I don't know. I'm from down south. A state used to be called Andhra Pradesh earlier. Now, with a divided state, I'm part of Telangana. But some of you would have heard about our ex Prime Minister, sorry, ex Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, right? He had something called Vision 2020, which he had actually put it as his political agenda in 2000 itself, right? I mean, in late 1990s and then 2000, he has this political agenda called Vision 2020, right? And we have always talked about it in various forums or various platforms where it is known as Vision 2020. Vision 2020 and beyond, right? I mean, we used to think about this in the past, like what is Vision 2020? I mean, 20 years ago, we have never even thought about like what is going to happen after 20 years, right? Today we are already in 2021. I mean, we are actually beyond 2020 now. And believe me, I mean, these some of these predictions were actually made way way long ago, and then these are coming into picture now, right? I'm just trying to kind of give you top five, which we have actually picked it up as a part of the study. So you can see in 2023, 30% of IT organizations, right, will extend BYOD policies, right? BYOD, I don't know if you are aware of BYOD. BYOD is nothing but bring your own device, right? So earlier, what used to happen, right? I mean, companies used to invest a lot in infrastructure or in, I would say, uh, investing in buying laptops, desktops, phones, gadgets, everything, right? I mean, they used to kind of buy and give it to employees, right? To kind of help them connected and then work in an organization. Now, currently, what we see is basically things have of late changed, and most of the companies are kind of looking at allowing people to bring their own device, right? I mean, people are now looking at using their own personal devices to work in an organization, right? I mean, like, say for example, I have a laptop which is like with my own configuration, and then I enjoy working on my laptop. I can always take my laptop to work and then continue working using that laptop. So certain companies have thought, instead of investing a lot in assets like laptop, and kind of like have people work in limited boundaries, they said like, okay, let's change some of these policies and bring up something called BYOD. Now BYOD is further enhanced, right? It's now known as BYOE, right? Bring your own enhancement. Enhancement is nothing but change the things the way you want, or maybe yeah, I mean, currently companies are investing to address, yeah, augmented humans, right? I mean, in the workforce, augmented humans are nothing but, yeah, I would say people with very high intellectual, especially today's world, computers are doing most part of the work. So if you look at, for everything you write a piece of code, for everything you write or develop a product, for everything you automate, right? I mean, basically, um, you have kind of like slowly started building intelligence in I would say machines, if I have to say. So the machines have started actually behaving like humans. So you can think of, say for example, I can give you um, way long ago when I was a child. Probably there used to be some machines on the roadside, right, which talks about Bhavishwani, which talks about future predictions, right? I mean, you put a 1 rupee coin and then try to understand what the machine talks about your future, right? I think, I mean, so that was basically, it's a pre-recorded thing where the machine used to be having certain amount of information already keyed in or probably saved in it, and then it starts reading that particular thing again and again. You put maybe a 1 rupee coin time and again, maybe for 10 instances you will have the computer talking different things, but from the 11th instance it will start repeating the same thing again and again, right? So there was some limitation earlier. Now I think companies have looked at going beyond that, and they are actually enhancing in such a way. They are kind of like augmenting um, their products in such a way that they almost behave like humans. Say for example, yeah, you have now cash deposit machines. I don't know how many of you have used CDMs, right? CDMs are cash deposit machines. Earlier, for me to deposit cash, I have to go take a token in a bank, in the entrance, stand in the queue, fill up a form, wait for my turn, and then when my turn comes, I kind of give the cash to the teller. Teller is nothing but the person who collects the cash. He has to kind of look up my details in the bank account in the computer, fill in all the details, put count the cash, put it in his drawer, maybe in his cupboard, and then stamp your what you call receipt, give it to you as a proof that your money is deposited, right? So off late, technology advanced. People started, um, I mean, slowly removing the paperwork, and you started getting automatic SMS, right? SMS is the proof that your cash is deposited. Nowadays, I mean, the CDMs are introduced, right? You don't need to even interface with a person because you have augmented humans in place of real humans, right? Augmented humans are nothing but machines um, who behave like humans, collect your cash by the swipe of your card, right? You just go and swipe your debit card, the system opens, you put your cash, system calculates, counts, and then once the counting is appropriate, the system takes the cash into the machine and gives you a printout along with a message which comes into your mobile phone stating that your amount is deposited successfully. um, Basically there's a shift, right, in terms of like how we used to behave earlier to how we are behaving at this point of time with the help of advancement in the technology. I think, I mean, I'm just giving you real-time examples, folks, for you to learn and understand how we have evolved over a period of time. We are talking about 2023, which is not too far, 2 years from now. 30% of the organizations will actually further enhance their um, organization with various policies, which will um, uh, kind of enable a lot of, I would say, machine related intervention to human related interventions, right? I mean, their workforce will be replaced by machines in various ways. Okay, so second, you can see the number of people with disabilities employed will triple due to AI and emerging technologies reducing barriers to access. See, the good part is uh, earlier days it was very difficult for someone um, who has disabilities, right? Disabilities like the blind people, right? They never had an opportunity to work in companies because they cannot see anything. But you see today's world, we know even our phones, right, mobile devices, they all come with capability which recognizes your voice. So we are kind of using natural language processing, NLP, as a technology to ensure we can give certain commands to our phone, and the phone starts behaving the way we want, right? I mean, you can understand a blind person, a fully blind person even can access a phone better than a person with visibility, right? I mean, a person who has no disability in his vision. So imagine the technology has advanced and reduced barriers for people to access anything and everything with the help of augmented reality, AR, and AI, right? Artificial intelligence. So coming back to the question which is raised by people, um, business or the organizations are um, tremendously helping people to use artificial intelligence, AI, to enhance their products, to enhance their, I would say, offerings to their customers by using AI and AR, right? Augmented reality, artificial intelligence has come into picture, and people are actually given opportunities to learn more and more about these areas, right? So I'll come back to further more technologies which organizations are actually investing in the today's world. Coming back to third point, right? By 2024, the World Health Organization will identify online shopping as an addictive disorder, right? I don't know how many of you can actually watch for it, but I'm fully convinced. Yeah, because there's a tendency for people like us, especially over a weekend like this or on a holiday like this, we are fully dependent on online shopping. And I don't know, sometimes we kind of waste a lot of money just by clicking an advertisement, right? I mean, you tend to kind of get some advertisements on your phone, and then you're actually buying something which may not be of any use, or maybe may not be of any use immediately. um, but you tend to buy that because what the digital e-commerce companies like Amazon, Flipkart, or maybe any other company generally does is put an advertisement everywhere possible. Whatever data insights, or maybe whatever news you're reading, or maybe whatever video you're playing, uh, believe me, any I would say application, or any video, or maybe anything what you do on a mobile phone certainly has commercial advertisements. And the commercial advertisements distract your mindset to um, kind of like make you addictive to a particular online shopping site. And then without your knowledge you kind of end up buying something which may not be of any use for you in the immediate time. So there's a threat. And I'm sure, I think, I mean, WHO will identify that as a addictive disorder, right? I mean, WHO has already announced COVID as a pandemic, but there's a big wave of um, kind of like addictive disorders we will kind of come up in the coming days. We are already addictive to mobile phones, glued to mobile phones in the current scenario. I think it is going to be called as disorder in the coming days. Fourth is by 2024, you can see artificial intelligence identification of emotions will influence more than half of the online advertisements you see, right? I mean, basically every advertisement, again going back to my same example of point number three, artificial intelligence is going to kind of identify your emotions. So for example, while you're taking a selfie, um, I mean, you're very happy in a mood to take a selfie. You took a selfie, right? And you publish it in a social media website. And the moment you publish it in a social media website, what happens, right? I mean, the you don't know, without your knowledge, you start seeing, say, some advertisements which are kind of tied to your emotions. Because you're happy, the system will automatically read your emotions and start publishing some products as a opportunity for you to buy in your happy mode. Likewise, any mood you are in, what artificial intelligence does is basically read your mood and then try suggesting you things which you need to do. Say if you are in a mood, a sad mood, or if your emotion is not that great on a given day, and then you end up taking a picture, or someone else takes a picture of yours and post it in a social media, then you will start seeing advertisements which are related to yoga, maybe a meditation, maybe yeah, in situations like this, how can you kind of like be happy, some cracking jokes which come in your way. I mean, like, to kind of enhance your mood, these advertisements will pop in without your knowledge. I'm saying this is how the technology advancement will happen in the coming days, right? By 2023, if you can see last point, individual activities will be tracked digitally by an IOB. IOB is nothing but Internet of Behavior. As I said, right? I mean, whatever you do today is publicly out there in a social media. There's no personal, I would say, life for anyone, right? Gone are those days when you have only celebrities who are seen as celebrities, and their life is not at all a personal life, right? They don't have a personal life because everywhere they go, they are actually followed by people, and everything they do is like in the news, right? Today's world, the Internet of Behavior is going to kind of influence, right? I mean, influence certain things for you. Whatever you do on an internet is certainly kind of followed by many people. You won't be surprised. I'm telling you, as a HR leader, I mean, down the lane, your IOB will become one of the key drivers for us to hire you for an organization, right? Because you're management students, I'm trying to kind of let you know. Soon you will see something called Internet of Behavior as one of the key criterias for you to employ a particular individual, because yeah, your behavior will be tracked by internet, and a report will be sent to a human resource leader like me, or maybe a manager like you, to know what sort of an individual I am or you are, to make a particular decision about your employability in an organization. So imagine 40% of people worldwide, you can see either they benefit out of it, or maybe they lose out of it, right? Because your behavior is tracked by internet and it is there digitally online. That means you are allowing people to know what sort of an individual you are without your knowledge. So most people are ignorant about this fact, and they may kind of like ignorantly take advantage of this, or maybe at a bigger loss if they continue to kind of use internet for everything and everything. So my own submission to this people around is, as much as you are happy to kind of post anything and everything you do on an internet site or a social media, I would certainly encourage you limit that as much as possible, because end of the day, as I said, uh, there is a lot of investment in augmented humans, which is like artificial intelligence and augmented reality is going to kind of take over your personal life, professional life. It can influence to any extent. Um, I mean, tracking digitally online. I mean, that means um, ignorantly, unknowingly, we are allowing computer take over our personal lives, right? This is all about our future. I mean, again, my own submission here is, there is no personal human touch which is going to exist in the near future if we continue to follow these things, or maybe if we continue to live the way we are living today. So as management students, there are two key things which you need to know for you to be a perfect individual, who could be a potential, I would say, employee in a very good organization. These two things are your IQ. IQ is basically your intelligent quotient, or maybe intellectual capability you have actually gained over a period of time by learning, right? I mean, IQ is always important. People are tested on IQ, how you are able to kind of create solutions to various problems. IQ is all the more important for you to excel in your career. Certainly, companies are now kind of shifting to something called EQ, emotional quotient, right? I mean, in other terms, it is known as emotional intelligence, which is together put together as IQ plus EQ, is now kind of known as emotional intelligence. How are you going to kind of balance your emotions with your intellectual, right? I mean, these are the two things or two factors which you need to keep in mind um, for future to be more successful. So a person with strong emotions at the same times with high intellectual is kind of like going to be successful in the near future. So these are certain things which I thought I will put in front of you for you to know how the technology is advancing, right? I mean, it's great to know that we are kind of like advancing with technology, but my only submission is to help you understand is, at times you need to be silent, at times you need to kind of be calm and composed. Going back to my three famous quotes from Confucius, which I have shown you in the beginning of my slide, right? So relating to those three quotes, you need to ensure whatever you do, right, you do it with your full heart, right? I mean, don't give up on anything. um, Things may go up and down in life, but a person's success is considered on how you are able to kind of manage both situations, right? Even in your upside or in your downside, how are you able to kind of manage that situation is important. The irony, the fact of the current situation is people tend to give up very fast. People tend to give up very fast because they feel they are failing miserably. And at times, right, I mean, we have already seen, even in situations with very famous personalities, right, they end up in a suicidal attempt because they don't know what they have to do in a situation where um, things go wrong, things go the other way, right? um, that's where I think you have to be pretty strong on the EQ side of things, right? I mean, you need to know where to draw a line, how to control your emotions in situations, and how to kind of overcome those situations, to turn things upside down. All the more important for people to know is, um, unless you fail, I mean, you will not know the importance of um, a failure. At the same time, you will never learn in life if without you have any failure in life, right? I mean, those are certain things which we need to remember. Yeah, sometimes we tend to kind of come across failure, but we need to learn out of what we have failed from, and try to kind of move on towards learning things from failure, and then ensuring we don't repeat and be successful, right? So I can give you hundreds and thousands of examples, but in the interest of time, I'll put, I think, maybe few personalities who have actually kind of overcome situations like that, and then had been very successful in life. So I'll pause for a minute and leave it open for some Q&A, before I could put up slide of people who have been tremendously failed, tremendously failed, or maybe disasters, but who had been successful. In the meantime, I'll just stop sharing, open for questions in the interest of time.
Students, you can ask the questions that you have. And some of the questions I have of students. So one of the important question is, so what are the certification courses or the courses that are required for the management students, for such as you were mentioning about Internet of Behavior and these technologies. So what are the certification courses that students can do?
Yeah, so it depends. I mean, say since you are management students, right? I mean, you're already graduating from an esteemed college, like IABPM. Considering that, I mean, I don't think you will really need to kind of invest a lot in certifications. However, um, if you take up any particular area, basically in a sales and marketing area, what you need to know is you need to kind of learn the trick of the trade. I mean, in my opinion, you need to learn more about sales and marketing as an area. Learn how to kind of understand different market strategies, how to understand business as a whole, uh, how the industry is probably evolving, or where is it kind of heading to, right? So in my opinion, I think, I'm just giving you one example. There is no such certification which help you kind of um, gain more knowledge than probably following the maybe the news, following the market, following the, I would say, the industry trends. As I said, I have referred to Gartner, right? Gartner is the best place for you to kind of understand how the business is evolving at this point of time. What are the different trends we see in any industry? Likewise, you pick up any industry and then start researching about it, you will find a lot of knowledge around it. And I think important thing is basically certifications can be there as a repository for people to just give some weightage to your candidature from an interview or a selection perspective. But in my opinion, if you have 10 certifications and don't have any knowledge on any of these areas, it's of no use. I would strongly recommend first you choose which field you want to kind of get into, because again, management is a very wide subject. Some people might be future HR leaders like us. Some people might be finance side leaders. Some people might be operations leaders. Some people are into kind of like maybe business side leaders. So maybe product leaders, whatever you name, right? I mean, there are some certifications which you can look at narrowing it down to your area of interest when you get into a job opportunity, and get certifications for your future enhancement. Certainly, it's not a showstopper for you to get a successful job.
Okay, thank you, sir. So another question is, can a professional with less IT knowledge can sustain in market?
Yes, a very big yes, because as I said, um, I mean, human beings, right, has EQ. IT or computers doesn't have EQ, right? They only kind of work on IQ, but not on EQ. Even if you don't have good knowledge in IT, you are still considered as a good human being and certainly a good individual. And then certainly you can become a good manager. I mean, because you're a management student, you can certainly manage a bunch of people who are strong in any technology, even though you have very less technology acquaintance.
So, and another question is, for engineers or people from different background.
Mhm.
So, does it give an upper hand to them?
Um, Nothing like it. Say, for example, I can probably talk about various things which an individual can do at a very young age, right? It's all about your passion, your interest, and how you want to drive your career, right? Say, for example, some of you are really passionate about getting into civil services, right? Um, you can always choose to write or appear for a IAS or an IPS, or maybe get into Indian uh, IES, right? Another area, economic surveys, or maybe IRS, revenue related services, right? There are many things. If you would want to kind of choose, um, would still be getting into a greater place than an IT person can do. So imagine IT is just leading the market, but IT is not everything. Um, uh, and end of the day, my own submission to everyone is, um, there are many career opportunities outside IT, outside, I would say, uh, technology. There are many career opportunities which you can embrace. Certainly, you can get into a banking profession because of your master's program and your, I would say, academic track record. You can straight away become a PO, probationary officer, or maybe a branch officer in a bank, right? I mean, that is also a very good opportunity for someone to be. Yeah. So don't limit your career opportunities to one particular segment. It is only sometimes like glorious from outside, but the real challenges you will face only when you are in that situation or a job. I think my submission to people is, start thinking innovative. You can start your own company, right? Why don't you think of starting your own company with an idea you have, rather than even depending on a job?
Yes, sir. So, any other student have questions? So, you can ask, sir. So I guess that's it from student. So
Okay.
should I conclude, sir?
Yeah, we can conclude. Thank you very much once again, Mayuresh, Professor Mayuresh. Thanks, Mimansa.
Yes, sir. Just concluding it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session. It was full of knowledge and liveliness. I'm sure students would have learned a lot from your shared experiences and would have enjoyed the session to the core. Best wishes for your future endeavors with the hope of meeting you again. Thank you so much, sir, and students for attending the session.
Thank you, everyone. Hope it
Thank you,
was,
sir.
it was very insightful. Please carry this back to your personal life and then apply it as much as possible. Yeah. Have a good time, guys.